So, you're ambitious. You have goals that you want to reach and dreams that you want to fulfill. You're hungry for success. There's just one problem. You're lazy. You just cannot seem to find the motivation to do what you know actually needs to be done. You continue to put tasks off, everything piles up, and you wonder how the heck you're even supposed to think about working on that big project of yours now. So with a lump in your throat, you let out a sigh, turn on the TV instead, and watch it until you fall asleep in the misery of your recurrent failure. Your procrastination builds up over the next few days, which then turns into weeks, then months. And eventually, a new year comes around with double the resolutions as last, but half the motivation. Because subconsciously you're telling yourself that you've already failed so much, so the likelihood of failing again is all but guaranteed. Within a few weeks into the new year, you find yourself once again distracting yourself with TV and endless scrolling on your phone. You feel frustrated and guilty because deep down you know you're capable of so much more. But you seem to be unable to escape from this pit of procrastination you've dug yourself into. So you're left with one conclusion: you must just be a lazy person. Just like me. Even getting this video out has been a struggle, so I know exactly how you feel. But is there a solution to this? Can we change the pattern and make ourselves stronger than the weight of our own laziness? Yes, we can. But to get out of the pit, we need to focus on addressing the root causes of procrastination and laziness instead of the symptoms. The symptoms are distracting yourself from your important tasks with entertainment or feeling a sudden urge to do pointless activities like counting how many grains of sugar in a sugar cube. 3,167, 3,168. But to address the root causes, we need to change our mindset. And to do this, there are 3 simple but powerful practices which have really helped me combat laziness and that I'm very happy to share with you. Number 1, be kind to yourself. The first thing you need to realize is that you are not lazy. The fact that you're watching a video like this demonstrates that you aren't and that you want to be better. More likely what you are is overwhelmed and exhausted by the challenges of life. You want to do all the tasks. You want to develop your projects. You want to be a person you could admire. But it feels like you're wading through thick syrup as all the responsibilities of life accumulate and keep you from moving forward. Whether that's work, social expectations, family, car repairs, home repairs, paperwork, chores, tragedy, the list of things to overcome can feel virtually endless, especially if you're on your own. And despite this truth, we tend to be incredibly hard on ourselves. When we feel lazy, our go-to response is often to beat ourselves up, to let the harsh voice inside our heads criticize us into making us feel like we aren't doing enough, we aren't accomplishing anything significant enough. But think about the message that you're telling yourself then. No matter how much work I put in, no matter how many goals I've accomplished, it's never good enough. Maybe you think of it as tough love, like giving yourself a kick in the butt to get stuff done. However, this is basically being angry with yourself and using that anger as fuel to do the work. And this is important to understand. Like adrenaline, anger can be great for getting big things done quickly. But it's fatiguing to stay angry because anger is incredibly costly in terms of emotional resources. Anger is unsustainable, so eventually that energy motivated by anger fades and you're left feeling depleted and like you don't deserve feeling good for what you've accomplished. So whenever you hear the voice in your head start to criticize, you have a choice to consciously stop it and to be kind to yourself instead. I mean, would you speak so harshly to a loved one? Hopefully not. A personal mantra of mine is to speak to yourself as a loving parent would. In other words, be honest and firm with yourself, but also compassionate and fair. Doing this is far more energy efficient than anger and has a long-lasting effect on motivation because you're not robbing yourself of feeling good for your accomplishments. You're no longer your own worst enemy. Number 2. Start small. You can blame your laziness on Newton for this principle because it's his first law of motion which states that unless acted upon by an external force, an object at rest remains at rest, and an object in motion remains in motion. This is summed up as inertia, and while incredibly easy to overlook, it applies just as well to motivation and laziness as it does to physics. It also happens to apply to this video by giving it momentum through liking and subscribing. When a new task arises, ask yourself, how confident am I that I can successfully complete it? If you're not confident and you feel dread when you're thinking about it, then the inertia working against you is too great because the goal you've set is too big. Your brain just goes, whoa, this is gonna take way too much energy, and immediately shuts down the idea because it has evolved intelligently to conserve energy and it would rather take the path of least resistance. So our mind has to trick our brain into being okay with doing the work. and we can do that by breaking our goal into small, manageable tasks. As an example, if you tell yourself, I have to sit down and complete my 5,000 word report, the inertia working against you is too great because the task your brain has envisioned is immense. However, if you instead tell yourself, I'm only going to write 50 words, that perceived inertia is much less, so it's a lot easier to get started without the necessity for a great deal of willpower or discipline. Another way we can apply this productivity hack is with the 2-minute rule. Basically, if there's a task which you're procrastinating with, just tell yourself that you'll do it for 2 minutes, and then stop if you want to. For example, if you're feeling too lazy to clean your room, you could put on a short song, do some cleaning, and stop when the song ends. But often what happens is that you'll end up doing more than the micro task you've assigned yourself, thanks to the momentum which you've created for yourself. Number 3. Reward and reflect. It's so damn easy to neglect rewarding ourselves, because as we get older, we tend to be less and less rewarded for simple accomplishments. And then over time, we kind of build up this perception that adults don't really need rewards, they need results. So we get into a habit of scrutinizing our failures while minimizing our accomplishments and telling ourselves that I don't need a reward because I'm too mature for that. I'm not a kid anymore after all. But here's the thing, as we age, we gain knowledge and our brain's biochemistry changes, but we still retain a lot of who we were as children, especially emotionally. So your mind has expanded, but your biology still wants a pat on the back for a job well done. And if it doesn't get that, it figures, well, I didn't get anything good out of this effort, so it's not worth doing. And it's at this point where we become demotivated. So remember to reward yourself. Doesn't mean you have to go on a shopping spree or do anything crazy. I mean, please, stay responsible. But it could even be something as simple as having a nice cup of coffee once you've finished writing that long overdue email to your car insurance company. Or after you finished folding the laundry, you could play a few minutes of your favorite mobile game. Just note though that a reward like this is best kept for when you don't have to get back to a mentally demanding task. And that's because your brain will feel like the work is its dopamine reward if you keep your break activities less stimulating than the thing you are working on. Otherwise, it can take more time and effort for your brain to re-engage with the task you're working on. Anyway, little rewards like this are a good way to keep you motivated. But another thing I have to mention is the act of reflecting on your successes. You see, we tend to forget how much we've actually achieved on the way to where we are right now, because often we fixate on what we don't have rather than what we do. Chances are you are now where you wanted to be 5 years ago, at least in certain regards. Take some time to capture this present moment and celebrate your victories, however big or small they may be. This might sound egoistic to some, because we can be so used to self-deprecation and we place a high emphasis on being modest at the expense of our own needs. But as long as you're not trying to turn into some kind of vanity parade, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging what you've achieved and being happy that you have. And of course, it's also important to reflect on the mistakes and learn from them, but my point is, just don't forget about the wins. So, these are the 3 practices I implement in my own life to overcome laziness and procrastination. I found them to work very well for me, and I hope that they can for you as well, should you choose to apply them. Please comment if this was helpful to you, or share any of your own tips for overcoming laziness and procrastination. And remember, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Lao Tzu. Probably.